However, sometimes perfection is not attainable because you're not working with perfect stuff.
Keeper of the mountain. Well, our little bit today is going to be a little bit different because here a year and a half or so ago I went out and bought a 1996 Mercury Cougar, and when I did that I had plans to pull the rear end out. I was going to just film it and it was going to be great. I made arrangements multiple times to pull this rear end out, and every time that I made the arrangements, it would rain like the dickens. And so I've just been thwarted at every turn to get this on film. So finally I'd had enough. I scheduled a day. There wasn't supposed to be any rain for like a week and a half. And so the Monday that I was going to do it rolled around. Paul came over to help me. You remember Paul?
Hello there.
He helped me a few videos ago. And guess what? It rained. That was the only day it rained. And I just don't film in the rain because it's hard on the equipment, and it's also the noise of the rain just gets in the way of everything, and it just takes so much out of the filming. So I went ahead and pulled the rear end out. Let me show you. Check it out. There's the Cougar. And at first glance it looks like nothing's amiss, but check this out. There's nothing under there. It's just vacant. I just have these steamroller Mustang wheels standing in here for the sake of the neighbors, because right now this car's out in my front driveway and I just don't need it being an eyesore for the neighbors. But it's just about stripped to the point where I can haul it off to the scrapyard. Still need to get the hinges and the latches for the doors and for the trunk lid. A couple other odds and ends. Nothing really major. But anyway, once I got the rear end out of the car, it was time to go clean it. So come along with me as we go clean the rear end and get it ready to go in the car. So here it is in all its glory, and I'm going to use this stuff. Now, this is not an endorsement. This isn't a sponsor. They aren't paying me, but for years I have used Easy Off Pro Commercial Oven and Grill Cleaner to clean engine parts, and I used it to clean the engine. I'm using it to clean this rear end, and I've done that because it is really tough on grease. You know, it doesn't mess around, doesn't need heat, it just does its thing. So let me get this thing hauled out of here and we can get it cleaned up. Of course, you see what I did. I dropped this and broke the lid off. So now I have this full can of oven cleaner and no way to get it out of the can. So I guess I'm gonna poke a hole in the can and just spray this thing down as best I can. We'll see how that works out. Well, I've got this. Let's see what happens.
I'm going on record saying this is a really bad idea.
That for that. Well, hopefully that's enough to do some good.
Okay, as you saw, I ran out. I didn't have enough to spray the whole thing down, so let me show you how well this stuff works. I mean, check it out right here. This is aluminum. See how shiny that is? That got the oven cleaner. This is the same aluminum here in this back cover that did not get it. Check that out. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. Wish I hadn't broken the can, but that's the way life goes. I got to get back to cleaning this thing. See how clean I can get it. Well, I've done just about everything I can here to get this thing clean and out of oven cleaner. And I've done what I could with the pressure washer. So I reckon that's going to be good enough until I get done modifying this bad boy to fit the car. So when we get to that point, I guess I'll have to clean it again and then paint it, make it purty, and put it in the car. Let's go cut this thing up. It's time to start the next project, and this is a big one. This is one I've been looking forward to. Swapping out the rear end. Let's take a look at what I have to do. Okay, here we have the frame. It's a basic frame, just comes up and out the back. It has supports over here for the back of the leaf spring and the front of the leaf spring right there. And nothing on the rear end is hooked up. No brake lines, nothing. So drive shaft's not in. So I am going to pull this rear end out. It should require, you know, this bolt here and the one just like it on the other side, and that bolt there and the one just like it on the other side, and the whole and I have to take the shocks out. I'm going to hang on to the shocks because they look a lot like the ones that are on the Cougar rear end, and they might work out better. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it's going to be interesting to see how much of this frame I can remove once the Cougar rear end's in here. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I might not be able to remove any of it, but then I might be able to cut quite a bit. It'd be just hilarious if I can remove 18 inches. Because if you remember from early on in the project, I added 18 inches here in the frame length. And if I cut it out back here, it'll be hilarious. I think anyway. Maybe I have an odd version of what's hilarious, but we'll see. Let's get to pulling it out. This is, you know, not my favorite part of a job, but the demo part. I much prefer putting things together. But it's a necessary evil. You got to take it out to put it in. Okay, I put the jack right here under the transmission mounting cross member. And the reason I did that is because I have the weight of the transmission, the weight of the engine, all that stuff in the front suspension, all that's on that side of the jack. And the only thing on the other side of the jack is the frame rails and the rear axle. And I'm pulling the rear axle out. So I'm willing to bet that if I pick it up right there by the transmission mount, this whole thing will come off the ground and I'll be able to pull it out. Let's check it out, see if it works. And look at that. We got the wheels off the ground. Now to get jack stands under it so that if the jack fails, we don't. There we are on the jack stands. Now we can pull this rear end out. There we go. Rear end is loose. I'm liking that. Everyone strives for perfection, including me. However, sometimes perfection is not attainable because you're not working with perfect stuff. So, here's what I have. I have a wooden floor that moves when you walk on it or put weight on it. I've got a frame that's not digitally straight. It was made before digital existed, so it's doing pretty good. So I've got the rear end out, and hear that noise? That's the lovely noise. That's my level on my cell phone.
And when it makes that noise, it's perfectly level in every angle. And so, depending on where I step, I'll get it. See, I just stepped somewhere else. I got the noise. So that's as level as she's gonna get. Now I have to wheel the rear end underneath it, the new rear end underneath it, see what I have to cut off to make it fit. And then I'm gonna have to have the wheels on it that match these, which are the ones that came off the Cougar, and they'll have to be setting on the trolleys. So I'll have the trolleys with the wheels and tires on the rear end sitting in there, and then I can adjust the rear end in place, figure out how to hook it up. Sounds like fun. Let's get with the program. Okay, we got it sort of in place. I still have a lot of work to do on this. It's still got to come forward. Well, these have to line up with these, center of these bolts. This needs to line up with the back of this. So it's got to come forward that much, and as you can see, these arms are in the way. And they're not straight. This rear end is not in here straight. I know it. But I'm going to have to cut these arms off so that this will go in between the frame rails. And then I'll have to build a new bracket to hold the rear end in place. Shouldn't be too hard. Probably come right off of here, right down to there with a bushing. It'll work good. Got plenty of room to do it. And then the back end will just go right up to the frame right there. We should be in good shape. Just got to get it straight and level and the pinion angle right. And then I can make it go. This is going to be awesome. It's funny, that dip was so that arm could go around the frame rail. The frame rail is clear up here on top of this. On top of this tab right here. See that tab? That's going to be like right underneath the frame. I might put a fifth and a sixth mount right there through that hole. I don't know. I'll think about it. I don't think I want to get, no, I wouldn't be able to, because it would run into this arm, and I don't want to do that. So we'll stick with, I think the factory knew what they were doing when they put it on a much heavier car with only 4 attachments. So that's what I'm going to do, put it on a much lighter car with only 4 attachments. That should work. You know, and I might come off the side right here down to this part. That could work really good. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it all works out when I get it in. But that's it for tonight. I've done everything I can today. I've gotten the old rear end out of both vehicles. I got this one cleaned up and this one in, sort of approximately right where it might maybe go.
Well, thanks for watching today. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you want to see me cut this thing up and retrofit it to fit my frame and figure out just exactly how I want to do it, well, then you're gonna have to come next week, because that's I'm still waiting on parts. So my parts should be here any moment, and when they arrive, then we can get started and I'll be filming it and get it out to you. See you then. Bye.